make sure your volume is down on your phone or it's off or whatever. You don't want to get a call from Mike in the middle of the show.
For the ability to bid on sideline passes, autographed items, and other great App State football experiences.
WSOC TV, Severe Weather Center 9, high country weather. Pretty cloudy out there today. Clouds will thicken up more this afternoon. A small chance of showers during the day today. Highs around 60. Then the chance of rain picks up tonight. We'll see some brief heavy downpours possible this evening. A better shot coming in Friday afternoon. We'll see another round of heavy downpours coming through. Highs on the mid-50s tomorrow. Try them out for the weekend. The highs barely near 50 degrees. From Severe Weather Center 9, meteorologist Keith Monday for High Country Radio.
Where's my...
I'm really struggling, and I'm just looking for help.
I've had advice given to me, but it was confusing and didn't really work.
Recovery talk.
All right, 20 seconds.
I like it. You can call in and talk about your problems. They offer solutions. That's what I was looking for. Recovery talk helped.
There it is.
Problem? Know someone who does?
Morning, Aunt Nancy.
282
5,
Hey, Patty.
4,
This
3,
is Recovery Talk
2.
on WATA.
I call these pros your dream team.
Very good.
Sorry about that, folks. Good morning. This is Recovery Talk. I'm Jim Quigley. Recovery Talk is hope and help for the hurting. I should add in the high country. It is that would have a nice ring to it.
I think it'd be nice.
Yeah, I think so. So, it turned out to be a little bit of a blistery day out there today. But we got a great show planned for you. If you are listening or watching and you would like to call in and be a part of the show, give us a call, 828-262-1567. That's 828-262-1567. And we always got to give out a shout out to our sponsor, who is Freedom Auto Tech. Freedom Auto Tech is busy. We've had a busy week, but we still have room to take care of your cars. Winter's coming. You probably need to have your car looked at for the winter, and give them a call over there, 828-355-4434. That's 828-355-4434. And Freedom Auto Tech, all the proceeds, all the profits go to support men in recovery. So, if you want to get your car fixed and know that you're doing a good thing for a local recovery ministry, you can take care of two things at one time. So this morning, I've brought in my stunt double.
Yeah.
There's been a little rumor going around that for some reason we favor each other. I think he's my stunt double, or maybe I'm your stunt double. I don't know. I think you're more famous than me. I don't know. But he's not my stunt double. But this is Gene, my friend Gene Henry, and Gene and I kind of go back longer than you've been here this time, because we met how long ago?
It was about this week last year.
This week last year, and this will be part of Gene's story. He's decided to come in and share with us. But Gene came to Freedom Farm. I actually picked you up in Charlotte.
Yes.
We were at a men's retreat over in Black Mountain, North Carolina, and brought you back. And you ended up leaving Thanksgiving, and then you came back. And I don't want to spoil the story, but Gene, I want to say thanks for coming in and sharing some of your hope for us, because I think that everybody will see at the end of the story you're in a good place. So people love the color of your beard. Well, at least my aunt does. So.
Thanks.
So Gene, tell us where you came from, where you grew up in. Start us off on your life.
All right. Well, first off, I grew up in Nebraska, small town Nebraska. Everybody knew everybody. Got out of Nebraska when I was kind of young, about 17. But life in Nebraska was it was different growing up. I had one parent who was into a lot of partying, drugs, things like that. But and then another parent who was really into church and tried to raise us into the evangelical church out there, and there was kind of a mixed message between things going to church and then the home life where things were real different. My father tried to play like he was a Christian man, and I can't really say that he wasn't. You never know who's really saved, but his actions didn't really show it a whole lot. Just kind of grew up in some turmoil within the family and stuff. Parents divorced at an early age. I think it was around 9 years old. Kind of went back and forth between parents for a little bit, and then there was a time where I didn't see my dad for a long time. He just kind of disappeared out of our life, and it was rough. It was kind of rough, We'll fast forward through all that, some of like my high school years and things.
I wanted to say something real quick. That is a question that has to be pondered on a long time. It's like, you got people that are living these lives of, that would not reflect someone that lines up with what they say they believe,
Yes.
And I get asked that question a lot. I mean, maybe they're just, a big faker or whatnot. But, I think you were appropriate by saying, I don't know, and, anybody out there listening or watching right now that has somebody that has made a profession or something of a belief, and they're just not living a life that would mirror that is true, understand something. If Christianity is true and someone said they believed it, you are a child, and discipline will bring people back. I mean, that has definitely been my experience. So, that's a tough thing to talk about. It kind of hit me when you're saying, my dad said this, but didn't seem like it, and
Right.
and you know what? Even if years and years down, you never know what happens, and people a lot of times in recovery, they're like, how do you hang in there? I was like, you know what, man. You don't know what kind of seeds you plant with people, you're a little bit of an example. I met you and you left, and, you're back,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could have written you off when you left, but, we didn't. So anyway, bunch of people saying hi. You got Scott and Todd and Brian. So
What's up, guys?
sorry, man. Just, got me a little bit thinking about that. So
Right on. Where was I? Oh yeah. Kind of my around 17 years old. We'll go there. About 17 years old. I was emancipated from the state. Didn't really have a great home life. We'll back up a little bit, because before that, I got emancipated from the state. I ended up in foster care. Not sure why. I was pretty uncontrollable child. Once my father was out of there, mom was working a lot, trying to take care of 5 kids, things. And I just kind of ran amok and started getting into a lot of trouble, and my mother couldn't control me, so she gave me up to the state, and they stuck me in foster care. I was in foster care for probably a good, I want to say 7-8 months before my father stepped in. And not quite sure how he got custody of me at that time, because he had just been busted in a sting, selling a pound of weed to an undercover cop. And who knows why the state of Nebraska gave him custody of me at that point. Maybe because they didn't know what else to do with me.
that doesn't sound right.
It doesn't.
No.
And I never have quite figured that one out, but they did. And I went to live with him and my stepmother. So
You are how old again?
I was around 15.
15?
Yeah.
So taken out of foster care, dad that just got busted.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't convicted yet. I don't know.
No, I don't believe he was convicted yet.
Oh, that's probably why.
But who knows how
So you're
happens.
okay.
But yeah, so I go to live with my father and my stepmother, and didn't really get along with my stepmother. I'm still a rebellious child and things. But the reason I mention this, because this is kind of important. This is where a lot of this is where my drug use started. Is with my father, smoking weed and doing some drinking and things like that. So he was the first one that I got high with, that I had beer with, that I, ever did a line with. Pretty much, anything that's where I got started.
Man.
So that didn't last very long. I was only there a few, maybe 30 days, because I didn't get along with my stepmother and didn't want to stay around home and stuff. So my father gave me back to the state, and I went to live in a boys' home. And I lived it was pretty strict boys' home, out in South Sioux City, Nebraska. And it was yes sir, no sir, all movements restricted, just everything. And how I was told when to eat, where, what to do, when to go to bed.
Sounds a little bit like prison.
Oh, it was pretty much like it was a little more comfortable than prison, but
Yeah.
But it was pretty much like a prison. So strict discipline. They made you stand at the wall for hours if you got in any sort of trouble, until they had a thing they call a padded control room that you got out of hand. They'd stick you in there till you stood at the wall for however long they wanted you to, or things like that. It was it was pretty strict. And I lived there for about a year and a half. I lived there, and I finally made it up through the levels, and they had a 4-level system. Made it up through the levels, was able to get a job, and about this time I was almost 17, turned 17, but went to work one day and I never went back to the place and took off, because I'm a rebellious child.
What was going on with school that whole time?
They schooled us there,
Okay.
and we did sports there and stuff. They had teachers that came in, and they're actually really good school. Very, very attentive to us, and we went through every curriculum and a lot of stuff. So I had pretty good schooling there. Ended up taking off from there, running away, and was on the run from there for probably a month or so, and finally they found me. Police found me and everything. And at that point is when the state emancipated me. So at 17 years old, I was considered an adult and out on my own, and able to get a job, my own apartment, and things like that. And that's what I started to do. Started off the drinking right away, back to the drinking, the same kind of friends that I had, drink, partying. Went back to small town Nebraska, and just started to live my life,
So you started early, 17.
Yeah, 17. Well, started earlier than that, 15. But took a little break, and then 17, and I was out there running around doing.
So I wasn't really that far off with you being a stunt double, because the only people I ever heard of getting emancipated were like famous kids. So I guess you fit the mold pretty good.
Famous in my own mind.
Yeah. So we got a break coming up, but when we come back, we'll start off. You 17 and living on your own, and stay with us. We'll be back.
Percent of Americans have less than
tight spot.
How's it going?
I don't know.
Body shop and
Huh?
Doing all right.
Oh yeah, you're doing great.
Body shop and wrecker service has a brand new 60-ton rotator wrecker that will handle
So we got
anything that needs to be towed, pulled, or lifted. Have you ever been
couple
bent out of
minutes.
shape?
Yeah, so we're just under 45 minutes left to be here. So there's commercials obviously in between. So.
My little sister's got fleas in her apartment because her roommate has a cat that got fleas somehow. And she's asking me the 600 questions needed about bug farming. I'm like, well, all right. She's like, what about the water heater? I'm like, well, I never touched the thing, and our apartment didn't blow up, so I think yours will be okay. And I'm not an expert on these at all. I'm just like, here's what I did. It didn't work, by the way.
Scoot a little bit this way because this camera keeps going in and out of focus. I don't know if it's because we're
Too close.
like you're there and it keeps trying to focus in on you and then me. I don't know.
Billiards and an arcade for the whole family, all in one place. Whether it's a quick lunch up
Maybe that's what it is.
or a romantic dinner at Sorrento's, you'll find it at the Village of Banner Elk. Now, for a limited time, go to experiencebannerelk.com to register to win a free stay at Azalea Inn Bed and Breakfast. Experiencebannerelk.com.
You've heard about the benefits of buying life insurance, but have you considered the benefits of buying wife insurance?
What?
At Village Jewelers, you'll find
Wife
Wife
Yeah.
insurance.
Every time I hear that, I was like,
great selection of earrings.
"Whoa, why'd you say life insurance twice, Bill?"
Whether you need basic coverage or
He said wife. And it all makes sense now.
staff at Village
Speaking of life insurance, I'm uninsurable.
across the
Really?
historic post
Yep.
office in downtown.
Wow.
I've tried to get it 2 different companies now because you're you're an adult and you're married, you have kids, and you have
Wait.
a house.
I thought you were supposed to have life insurance if you had all those.
Right.
You are. I've applied
So because of the reasons that make you an adult like every other human being, you can't get life
because of my past.
The past.
I'm too high of a risk.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I had a heart attack when I was 35.
Oh,
Substance abuse, and
Yeah.
there's medical records, and
that's something that I haven't had
So-
yet, and I hope I never do.
so it doesn't look good. I guess I could, well, no, I don't even think I could lie my way through it, which I wouldn't do, but, I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult. I just got the rejection letter yesterday from the second company,
Nice.
and I thought this time it was going to be sure thing, but yeah, it wasn't.
All right, we got a minute.
Okay.
I know it's nowhere near similar, but I remember I tried applying for some credit cards. I still don't have one yet. And I got 2 letters back from these 2 different companies, and like, we can't verify your address, so we can't give you credit. And I'm like, but you sent me a letter telling me you can't give me credit, so I don't understand your process.
Oh, man.
It was almost like a Seinfeld episode. I'm like, wait, hold on. You have my address because you sent me a letter saying you can't verify my address. It's just the conundrum in and of itself.
I think the same just happened to my wife. We got our, the new driver's license. They have that stamp on them. So we went and got ours with our new address and everything. And they sent her.
Oh, hold on, 5 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah.
4, 3, 2.
Welcome back to Recovery Talk, Hope and Help for the Hurting. We got our friend Gene Henry here. If you are listening and you would like to call in, ask Gene a question, ask me a question, you can even ask Mike a question back there. He's the oldest 25-year-old you'll ever meet, very wise for his age. You can call in 828-262-1567. That's 828-262-1567. And Freedom Auto Tech is the official show sponsor. And they provide a great service. You got auto needs, check engine light on, rattling under the hood, something. Give them a call. They'll even order you snow tires. So they got the ability to do all of that stuff. 828-355-4434. That's 828-355-4434. And remember, Freedom Auto Tech, all proceeds go to support men in recovery here in the high country. All right, Gene, so back to you. 17 years old, emancipated from the state because you're just too hard to handle, right? I think they make songs after you.
Yeah,
You know?
they might.
So kind of living, working, partying like a 17-year-old that would be emancipated, being able to support himself would be.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's unfair to just paint that broad picture of all 17-year-olds in that situation, but
Well, in
that
my
would be
situation,
yeah.
for
I would
sure.
be. I wasn't emancipated, but I moved out when I was 17, so I kind of share that a little bit in my story. Anyway, not about me. Let's pick it up from there, my friend.
All right. So basically, yeah, I'm out there partying, doing my thing, and about around this point is where I move into a bigger city called Omaha, and still.
We know what
still do-
Omaha is.
You know where Omaha's at? Yeah. Okay. They make songs about Omaha too.
Don't they have a big insurance company?
They do.
Yeah.
Omaha
Can't
Mutual.
stand insurance companies. Anyway.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, so I move into Omaha and you know, still partying. Things I get introduced to a lot more things out in Omaha, bigger city. And this at this point, this is where I meet people that I start, and we get this big idea that we're going to go travel the country.
Okay.
So they talked me into this, and we started traveling, and then we meet up with this magazine crew. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. These magazine crews that travel, they pick up like loner kids and travel the country, going door to door selling magazines. And there was a few years back that they had a bunch of problems with stuff like that, and yeah, with you know. But anyway, that's what I started doing.
So you started selling magazines?
Yeah, door to door, traveling the country, going to different states, staying in hotels. They'd pay for the hotels. They'd give us a per diem and daily per diem, and we get out there and pretty much run amok.
Wow.
Yeah, trying to sell magazines for these people, and free travel, free room and board as long as we were out there doing it. So, and it basically after all that was done, I mean, we stayed at these hotels. It was just one big party.
Yeah.
Drugs and alcohol and just stuff everywhere.
How old were you around this time?
I was about 18.
Okay.
Yeah, 18 years old, and just out there, you know.
I mean, I sold magazines as fundraiser when I was in school.
Well, we'd have these little pitches that we would do, and
I got a pizza party if I heard a certain thing.
Yeah, you go to doors, and you know, it being so young, they think you were still in high school or things like that. But you pretty much say whatever you could do to sell a magazine.
Okay.
You know, and they'd these people, they'd like reward you with cash and things like that. You know, so it was different, but it was enjoyable to me because I was getting free travel and I was getting money and drugs and, you know, whatever, you know, and meeting different people that were like me that were, you know, just partying.
Yeah.
You know, at 18 years old, that's I really had no other thought about what I was really going to do with my life. I was just kind of going through
You were
it.
literally drifting.
Yeah, drifting. I was a drifter. Sometimes I call myself a gypsy.
Okay.
I've been so many places, you know. But I'm trying to think how long I did that. I think I was there for a year or so, and then I ended up was in Nashville, and I ended up meeting a girl and getting her to come out with us, and that ended up being my daughter's mom.
Mm.
You know, a bunch of stuff happened, and we ended up leaving the crew, and I moved out to Indiana with her, and started living with her and things like that, and still using, doing drugs. Kokomo, Indiana. It's like a mecca for every kind of drug you would ever want. It's like right in the middle of Indianapolis and Chicago, and so much stuff came through there. So,
Okay.
You know. Yeah. So, and then I ended up getting her pregnant and
Had a daughter.
Had a daughter. Yeah. Who, by the way, if she sees this, happy belated birthday. I already told her happy birthday. She had a birthday 2 days ago on the 30th. She just turned 20 years old. So,
20 years old.
I know, right? You didn't think I was that old, did you? Yeah, I had her. I was 21 when I had her. So, yeah.
So,
Well,
how long did that relationship last with?
That relationship was right around 3 years. Lasted about 3 years, and any relationship that I had then up to now, I've destroyed with my drinking, my drug use. I'm not a good person in relationships when I'm using.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of us go through that.
I think that's a pretty common thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was getting in trouble out in Indiana. I was doing a lot of stupid stuff. A lot of it drug fueled. Spent plenty of time in jail there for stuff that I was doing. Till the point where I got stupid enough and desperate enough that and I was really high one night, and decided to do a robbery at a bank. So this guy ran in, I was the driver. Guy ran in, grabbed a bank bag and ran out, and we took off and actually got away with it for a little bit of time. And
you eventually got caught.
I eventually
so you're not
got
like
caught.
incriminating yourself.
No. I eventually got caught about 3 years later.
Did you just tell him that you were the stunt double?
Yeah,
You weren't really robbing the place?
Jim did it. Too bad I didn't know you then. No. Yeah, I did. I eventually got caught, and I went to prison. I got sentenced to prison, and that was in Indiana. I did close to 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, close to 4 years. I went to prison, got out on parole, violated my parole for drinking, and got sent back and did some more time there. So
you're just straight up mess.
Yeah. I was a total mess. I mean, and even in prison, I was still using. You know, you can.
A lot of people don't realize that about prison.
Yeah.
You can use and everything just as much in prison. It's a lot more expensive and a lot harder to get, I think.
It is, unless depending on who you're hanging out with.
That's right.
But you know, as addicts, we're pretty resourceful when we want something. So,
yeah.
You know. I did my time in prison. It was rough. There were some rough days, but I made it through it and got out. And you know, I tried to tell myself things were going to be different, and you know, I was going to live a different life, better life, and it didn't end up that way. I went right back to the things that I was doing.
So how many times would you say you attempted on your own and then go back, attempted on your own, go back?
So many times. Things.
Take us to like an age where attempts on your own really.
I'd say the first real attempt on my own was when my daughter was born.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself I was going to quit, and I was going to be a great father to her, and do the right things. And I tried and failed miserably. You know, that's kind of it, and it's rough. It's rough on. I know it was rough on my daughter and
relationship killer.
Relationship killer. It was.
So we're coming up to a break. When we come back, we'll pick it up right where we left off. Stay with us, everybody. So, where are we at your timeline?
I'm 21 years old. Daughter just born. Prison. I'm 22, 23. Yeah. So basically, after prison, it's a lot of the same. Using, getting into relationships, ruining those relationships until I was in 2009. I was like 30, and that's when I started
trying to get
recovery journey.
So I would say just like that. Say a lot of more of the same. Can you have more kids to talk about?
Yeah, I do.
You don't have to.
I did. I'm just gonna leave those out because it's a lot of more of the same. The biggest one that's in my life is
right.
My oldest. The other two really aren't in my life. Not that on my lack of trying, but because of my past use and everything. So.
Second academically low-performing school to be taken away from a local control and turned over to hired school operators or be closed. The North Carolina Board of Education.
You're doing great, though. Cool. We've got, I think, one little good stint here, then a good break, and then one final stint.
Okay.
So the final will be like 12 minutes.
Okay.
The final thing.
Yeah.
It usually is.
Yeah, this next segment will have about 10 minutes.
10,
11 minutes.
And then a 12 minute.
Cool.
Did you guys hear about that school shooting in Charlotte?
My brother told me, he said, like a kid and another kid got in a fight. One kid shot the other kid, they were in a fight. And then they like put all the kids in a gymnasium and locked the school down and had the parents like separate.
Yeah.
and they're like telling, I don't know, but the parents finally just like, we don't care what you say, we're gonna go get our kids.
Yeah.
And they went and like stormed the gymnasium to get their kids out of there. And the cops were like, just gotta let them do it, you know.
Yeah.
And my brother says it was a bit ridiculous because all the kids in the gymnasium were running out with their cell phones, acting like they didn't know what was going on. They had like their cell phones like this. And he's like, my brother's like, you know, they all had cell phones. You know, they were talking to their parents.
Yeah.
You know, they knew what was going on. Why were they acting like there was like a mass shooting or something? You know, but
I heard that some parents didn't come get the kids. So, like, they just either wouldn't or couldn't. So they kept classes going after the one kid died.
wow.
Yeah.
Really?
That's what I heard. I was like, I know for a damn fact I wouldn't want to be in classes,
No.
or anywhere near that school if I was in it.
How would you even continue with class knowing English? It's just
Yeah, no one wanted. It's weird. Students is that.
Angie, Chris is doing well. He just hasn't been in here in a while, but he's doing good. Hopefully we'll have him back on the show.
That was definitely deliberate. 2007, 80,000 people on Franklin Street, Columbia Street, pouring over outside of that closed space. Too dangerous. Sign-up season begins today for health coverage under the Affordable Care Act.
Affordable Care Act. Sign up.
I actually may have to.
I had it a couple of years when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. It benefited us when my wife didn't work and all that kind of stuff because we got a subsidy that pretty much paid for all of it. So, but I don't qualify for it anymore.
Yeah, I was looking with my other job pretty much ending, and this is all I got. I'd qualify for everything my parents are against, you know, Affordable Care Act, food stamps, all that jazz. I'm not going to do it out of spite, but I can't imagine the reactions if I actually, I know they wouldn't be like, seriously, you're stupid in this little kind of thing, like it wouldn't be negative. I know they would say something.
What's next? Yeah.
I don't know, I'm looking at some trade school opportunities, be it welding or just some form of technician. I'm not sure yet.
Do you ever check out MicroWorks website?
Mm-hmm. My dad sent me that when I first even hinted at the idea of welding.
You know, since you just did Aquaman,
I could do that underwater welding.
Underwater welding.
$250,000 a year but that's, you have a bomb strapped to your back at that point, so I don't know how I'd feel. Oxygen tank, the thing keeping you alive, is very well the thing that could kill you. But we'll see. Someone also told me you have to be very small and, tiny to be a welder because you have to get into these tight places. So
I don't think if you're an underwater welder.
Maybe not.
But yeah, you get on pipeline welding, that kind of stuff. Dude. That's big money.
Alright, about 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back to Recovery Talk, Hope and Help for the Hurting. 828-262-1567. That's the number to call if you like to ask any of us a question. 828-262-1567. And 828-355-4434 is the number to call for Freedom Auto Tech, the show's official sponsor and the auto shop in town, ready to service your car for you. Winter's coming, and you may need some snow tires. You may need to have your car winterized, whatever. Give them a call. They're ready to help you out. 828-355-4434. And all the proceeds, profits from that shop go to support men's recovery here in High Country. Gene, so a nice stint in prison for robbing a bank, emancipated at 17 years old, already have a daughter, messed up relationships, continued drug and alcohol use. Where are we at now?
Basically, after prison, it was a lot of more of the same things until around 2000. It was 2009 is when I began my recovery journey. My first treatment center, I went into out in Nebraska, and didn't have a clue about what it was about. I was in a relationship. I had just tried killing myself in jail because I was coming off of benzos and had got caught cheating on her, and just so a whole bunch of stuff just came together, and basically they gave me the option to go to the treatment facility, and it was a state ran, but it was actually a really nice state ran facility, not like a lot of the ones.
Those are few and far between.
Yeah, right. But and that's where I started to get my first glimpse at recovery.
So 2009. How long was this place?
How long? It was a 30-day program.
30-day program.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at this time also, they allowed us. They had a church there that they would take us to, and this church would call themselves a recovery church.
Okay.
So the pastor was really felt a calling to reach out to the recovery community and really try and help people with addictions and stuff. So we started going to this church, and this is when I accepted Christ in my life. I can't even really tell you what the whole sermon was about, but it got to the end, and there was a song playing, and it just completely hit me, and I fell to my knees and then face first to the floor and just started crying and asking Christ to come into my life and just save me. And at that moment is when I accepted Christ in my life, and I knew that, I felt peace come over me, but a lot happened after that as well. But I couldn't move. I couldn't move until it was all over, and I just, I knew I could not do it alone, and he was the one that was going to help me.
So 2009, you got saved at a church, recovery church, and then everything was just upwards from there, huh?
Oh yeah, right. We wish, huh? No, I didn't know what it was all about. I'd grown up in the church, I had things. I kind of had an idea, but not really. I still thought that I could go out and do it on my own and things, and that's what I tried to do. I went out and tried to do it on my own, and ended up using again. Back out there, sticking, just almost sicker than I was before. But at the same time, knowing that there was something different, that that God had something else in store for me. But
was there more attempts at recovery, like going to programs and things?
Yeah, there was. After that, I left, and then started getting involved with the church and relapsed, and then went back to the same facility, and then it's been almost 10 years. I've been in about 10 different rehab stints over the past 10 years.
You went to, my memory serves me right, you went to some pretty nice ones too, high dollar ones.
I did. Massages and beach trips and all sorts of stuff. Private chefs, and but they all missed something. They were missing something. Those secular ones, they were all missing Christ.
So most of them were secular.
Yeah, most of them were secular.
Okay.
All of them were secular except for Freedom Farm.
So 2009 till coming here, did you have any significant periods of sobriety?
I did. I got involved with the church, the recovery church that I had been there, and got real involved with it, to the point where I was actually living in the church and counseling with the pastor, and we started a discipleship program through that church, and guys that would come to church from the treatment facility and didn't have any place to go and were looking for something different to follow Christ. We would invite them to come live at the church and go through discipleship with us. And for a little while, I led that, and it was probably close to about a little over a year.
Where does that story that you had that major accident, but you hospitalized you for a while? Where does that fit? Before or after the Recovery Church, the discipleship program?
The in between there, I went to live at the church after that happened. It's after my second stay in rehab, I went back out, and I was up for probably almost 2 weeks straight, and a thing called psychosis, and not really knowing what was going on around me, and hallucinations, and just out there, and I was living in a building in a downtown area, and I had roof access, and was out on the roof, just hallucinations and just out of it, and looked down over the edge and thought that, there was something down there going to catch me. And I stepped off, and it was about 3 stories. I stepped off the building, and as soon as I hit the concrete, my feet shattered. And I went down and laid in the back alley for close to 8 hours until somebody in the morning came to work in the salon below me and found me laying there. Laid there hallucinating and calling out to God and just seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. I think I admitted every sin in my life that night to God because I thought I was dying. I thought I was going to die. I was bleeding out. And by all rights, I should be dead. But God had something else in store for me.
So you were on a 2-week bender, hallucinating, stepped off a 3-story building, shattered your feet, and laid in an alley for 8 hours, found, and then you spent a significant amount of time in the hospital.
Yeah, I've had 15 surgeries on just my right foot alone, and then 5 on my left, and over a 9-month period, and then about a year in a wheelchair, and even longer than that with boots and recovery and things like that, trying to walk again and stuff.
I wanted to highlight that because I think it's people to know, it can get really, really bad. And then you went from there to back to the church, got involved in discipleship ministry.
Yes.
And still none of that was enough because you still relapsed again.
Yep. Wasn't relying on God. Left the church and stopped relying on God and ended up putting a needle back in my arm, and I got infected and ended up back in the hospital for about a month. I about died. About lost my arm. I actually stopped breathing a few times. They had to bring me back.
Sepsis?
Yeah. And had to cut me open, drain it, just a lot of stuff. But at that point, I will say that's the last time I put any kind of substance like that in my body. I switched over to alcohol and weed and things to keep me going.
Because alcohol and weed are harmless.
No, they're not. Yeah. Well, and my
at least you're not doing
my thinking,
needles.
Right? Yeah. Well, I'm not doing the hard stuff now. So, yeah. Well, that's not true. It did just as much damage as it was doing before.
So when would you say that you think you kind of gave up on the quote-unquote hard drugs and went to, I'll just do these types of drugs? How old were you then?
Let's see.
Or around what year?
Probably, I was probably about 34, 35 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like 2014?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say right around there.
Okay. So just about 4 years ago or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it looks like we're coming close to another break, but even though you stopped using hard drugs or whatnot, or like I said, quote unquote hard drugs, I have a plain opinion about alcohol not being a hard drug. But anyway, you still had a significant amount of time of trouble because you only came here about a year ago for the first time and still left and then came back again. So that's where we'll pick up the story when we come back. So stay with us, and we will finish up Gene's story when we get back. Thanks. So final stint, buddy.
All right.
Let's see, just under 2 minutes.
Yep.
I could probably, my whole story, if I put in every detail, it would probably last like hours.
Dude, yeah.
Trying to pick
You're doing great though. It's fine.
Cool.
Experience in well installation and pump repair. Also specializes in well water treatment, like filter systems and softening systems. And they offer free water testing. Dewey Wright has built their business through word of mouth of happy customers and as a reputable company, thanks to practices like no cost estimates. So whether it's a filter system installation or repairs to an existing system,
I'm bopping the country tune right here. I don't do that. I don't even like country music. I'm just sitting over here going.
It was a pretty funky country beat, so I'll give you that.
We are excited to welcome Nicole Chapman back to the High Country as our newest provider in our Boone office at 108 Doctors Drive. Nicole
That's like heresy to say up here, right? I don't like country.
It might be.
No.
I could get in trouble for that.
Well, I mean, the amount of times I've said it, I haven't got, I haven't been assaulted or anything, so I think you'll be okay, Joe. All right, 30 seconds.
Hello, I'm Tim Hodges, candidate for Watauga County Commissioner. Voters, Election Day is fast approaching. The day you elect those whom you think will best serve you. As a
Morning, Mom.
resident and small
She's
business
late.
owner for over 30 years.
So normally that's about like top of the show, but
Yeah.
hey, as long as she said it,
How far
it
you've
counts.
come to the community, and I join you with the vision of where we
All right,
can
10
go.
seconds.
My desire to serve you with honesty, integrity, and common sense principles. I'm
In
Tim Hodges.
5,
I ask
4,
for your vote as we work
3,
together for a better
2,
future for everyone. Thank you
1.
for my friends to elect Tim Hodges.
Welcome back to Recovery Talk, Hope and Help for the Hurting. We got our friend Gene Henry, and we're going to wrap up your story. But before we get back into it, 828-262-1567. That's 828-262-1567. That's the number to call if you wanted to ask any of us here a question. Final shout out to the show sponsor, Freedom Auto Tech. Freedom Auto Tech is a local auto shop here in town that is set up in such a way that all the proceeds go to help support men in recovery here in the High Country. Their number is 828-355-4434. That's 828-355-4434. Give them a call. They're ready to take a look at your car, give you a full checklist, see if you're ready for winter, get you some snow tires if you need them. But they're ready to service all your auto needs. All right, Gene, so you've given up quote-unquote hard drugs about 2014. You've been through lots of rehabs, probably some more to go. Bring us to the end until what was going on for the last few years, my friend?
Last few years. Well, I ended up getting married and divorced because I went back to when it was drinking. The drinking once again tore apart my life. Tried going back at, like you said, more rehabs. There was another rehab out in California. That's where I was living at the time.
Married and divorced because you're destroying not only your life but
hers as
other people's lives too.
Yeah, I ended up in, like I said, kind of a posh rehab out there. They were all about the spirituality. I put that in quotes, spirituality, because I think there's only one spirit, and that's God.
Mm-hmm.
That truly, for me at least, that truly, will keep me sober, keep me living the life I'm supposed to be. But that still didn't work. I got out of there, stayed sober about 6 months, and went back to drinking. Watched friends die, from going back out, all sorts of stuff. I mean, that's another story. I mean, people I've seen die from getting in recovery and then going back out and using it. Don't come back from it.
72,000 people in 2017.
Yeah, it's
leading cause of death, they're 50 and under.
It's a sad thing.
It is.
Yeah. So then I decided, well, if I get far away from California in another rehab, maybe it'll help me. And so I went out to Florida into another rehab, and
that's right by my mother's house, by the way.
Yeah,
she's listening right now.
Nice. So hi, Mom.
She lives literally a mile from the place. So.
Yeah, you know, and tried to go through there again. And at this point, I felt God tugging. I really felt Him tugging, but I was just denying Him, and I tried Buddhism and tried, you know, the spirituality thing and all that stuff, but I always knew the truth. You know, he didn't let go of me, and it was always right there. He would always feed into me. What are you doing? What are you doing? You know. Left there, came, and then things, you know, fell apart again, and I knew that God was tugging, and I did an internet search for Christian rehabs, and I found Freedom Farm, and I liked the way it looked. I liked their philosophy, what they were about and things, and that's when last year, that's when I made the trip here to come to, you know, well, kind of made the trip to Charlotte. And
you came to Freedom Farm and still weren't ready.
I was, yeah. I was still thought I could do it on my own after, like 30 days, and kind of got a little bit of clearness there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. I've been through plenty of rehabs, and I know what I need to do. And
literally left on Thanksgiving.
I did do.
Yeah.
Yeah, telling myself there's other things out there for me to do, and
tried it again,
failed. Maybe lasted a week and a half, 2 weeks, and was back out there drinking again, and destroying my life and other people's lives, and you know, trying to make it through. I'd say we're not allowed to come back for 6 months after we leave, unless you're in unless you do like
30 days
and,
right,
and stuff, and clean. But my pride and things like that, I wasn't going to go do that, because I'd been there before. Until I came back this time, for like the last 3 months, I'd been calling for like every week. I would call, let me come back, please. I know you can make an exception for me. Come on, just let me come back. And I knew I was miserable out there. You know, I was.
Just to clarify for people listening, we have a rule at the program: if you relapse or leave before your commitment, then you can do 30 days in a sober living environment, and then we will let you come back in after that 30 days as long as you can pass a drug screening. Or you have to be gone for 6 months. We won't let you immediately just walk back in. There's a little bit of a hoop you have to jump through. So that's what Gene was talking about.
Right.
Trying to get back in, we wouldn't let him back in because he wouldn't do what we asked you to do.
Right,
so.
Exactly. So,
but you finally did 6 months.
I finally did 6 months, and I think it was like the day of or the day after of the 6 months, and I made the phone call, and Todd answered the phone. He's like, I'm like, Todd, can I come back? And he was like, oh yeah, when are you thinking? I was like, today. I had already drove to Boone. I was already here. I had everything packed. I was ready. I was miserable. I knew that God was calling me here, and this is where I need to be. And so I came here, and I did my time at the safe house. I did 2 months. I went to the safe house, did 2 months at the safe house, and it was rough at first. You know, I was still kind of stuck in my own head, and I was asked to do some things that I really didn't want to do. But when I surrendered and did what was being asked of me, blessings came out of it, and a peace came over me, and it changed a lot of things, my outlook on things and stuff. I still got a lot of work to do, but I've surrendered my life to God, and what He does with me is something far greater than what I could ever do with me. So.
You have made some significant, we won't go into the details, but there has been some significant, challenges for you. We had to have some serious conversations about some things you weren't willing to give up, and I was proud of you. We like to hold on to things really, really tightly because we think if we don't have those things, we won't be whole, and a lot of times those things are the things that are very things that are keeping us sick. So, so yeah, and then you did something that a few guys do at the program, is that instead of moving into the final phase of our program and getting a job in the community, you asked if you could use your time and talents becoming a support here at the program, and you get very little money to do that, but you know what, you can't put a price on, I can honestly say that not because to justify not paying you any money. We just can't pay you money because we don't have it. But I done it myself. I've started working at Freedom Farm as support staff over about 8 years ago, and I've never left. But you can't put a price on that intense interaction of serving people, and that's what you're doing now. And your job, you actually, just to let you know, the humility, I guess the humble state of mind. Gene still, he has a hard time if he stands on his feet too long. I mean, you shattered both your feet, but you'll do it. And you were basically heading up our firewood processing, and you humbly went and did that, even though it was, and you're watching guys. Freedom Farm processes and sells firewood in order to help support this program. And then even though that's physically a little bit challenging for you, you never complained. And then lo and behold, a little bit into that, then a position opened up in a different area of the ministry, and you happily thought about it, considered it, prayed about it, and then you came on board, and you're just kind of, you're doing with what's been put before you on a daily basis. You're dealing with life as it comes, which is not only people that are in recovery, but people everywhere. Even Mike across the board from us here. All we all have is what is before us today to deal with, right? So we got to take care of today, and once you do that consistently, we start to see that tomorrow starts to kind of take care of itself, because we're prepared to take care of that day as it comes. Anyway, man, we're getting down to the last 30 seconds. I just got the signal. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you serving. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming and sharing. And, for those listening, pass the video around, pass our page around, invite your friends to like Recovery Talk. It's getting to the end of the year. Freedom Farm is always out there looking for more donors. If end of the year giving is something you involve yourself with, maybe consider donating to Freedom Farm. We could really use the support. Thanks. We'll be back next Thursday. And thanks, Gene.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Good show, guys.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Can you hand me that, sir? Can you hand that to me?
Yeah.
Thank you.